Good. That's good.
I think it's more for Ann, because Ann's been doing the yeoman's work on this whole process. Thank you, Ann. Our ordinance regulating fees is pretty damn rigid. If Kemper's gonna be trying to attract people there in the hours when we don't have a lot of golfers, in the weekdays or late in the afternoon on the weekends, how are they gonna do that if we don't have some kind of a flexibility in our ordinance?
Well, actually, no, Ann, yeah. But
In the mic.
Thank you. Part of the Kemper project is going to be to analyze the entire ordinance and all of our fees. They're going to come back and revamp everything. This is what they do for a living, you know, versus us guessing or deciding that, oh, let's up it $7. They're actually going to do the whole market research for us and come back with a recommendation as to fees depending on our location and what the demand is. They've studied this. This is what they do. It's an amazing process that we're very excited about, and I think we're going to be very successful. Jonathan and I sat through the staff handbook. It's all about having fun and making a difference. So we're very excited about it. I'm going to pass around just so you can see what they did today.
you know, one of the things that's not changing is, you know, the fees are set by ordinance. That doesn't change, even though Kemper's running it. The governing body still sets the fees. What will happen is they'll be making their recommendations. There are some obvious changes that need to be made. Were too expensive in some areas and were maybe a little too cheap in other ways, but once Kemper's in there and they can formally make the recommendations, I think you'll have a clearer picture and understanding of it. And Ann's exactly right. It was always a guessing game. You know, if we raise fees by $7 for in-town residents and $14 for out-of-town, there was no real market research or understanding of why we were doing it. This will all be laid out on paper.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
we have any other pertinent questions?
Now,
'Cause
just
we're
looking
trying
at
to keep
this
on schedule.
Kemper's Sports Handbook, their employees have to read this and sign it.
Yes.
Say, I have read it and I understand these are my obligations.
Today, this is part of their formula. When they come on board, they had to go through, I'm sorry, they went through a whole orientation, and then they're going through a 4-step training program about how to treat people. And this is the whole point. They're going to have fun, they're going to be happy, and it's pretty strict in that book. I just wanted to pass it around to show you what they're going to be doing.
How much does the
Yeah,
general
for example, you're not
public
allowed to
get
smoke on
use
the
course?
premises anymore.
How much generally do the residents of Parsippany use the course? I mean, what percentage of the population in Parsippany gets to use the course?
Well, gets to use it is the entire, anybody can use it.
How many do use?
I would say that the percentage-wise, it's not nearly as high as it used to be. It's just the demographics. We have a lot of out-of-town members, whereas it used to be more in-town members. Mike, what would you say?
But the out-of-town pay more.
But the out-of-town pay more. Councilman?
So it's really not for Parsippany residents in a way.
But the
You-
hope
you
is that
can't.
it will be, right? Am I understanding
Yes.
correctly
No.
that?
Well, no, it's for every, there's no way in this world, I can tell you straight up, that the Parsippany High School leagues get use of the course for free whenever they need to use it for practice and for high school sports. We receive income from the visiting teams. Visiting teams pay the township yearly for use of the golf course. And that happens also when Parsippany will pay, the Parsippany Board of Ed will pay other municipalities for their courses.
We purchased the knoll with Green Acres money, and when you use state's money, there's always strings attached. And the strings that are attached is, you cannot make it exclusive for Parsippany. You must open it up, and you cannot charge more than double what you do for a local. So our fees for a Parsippany resident to join the Knoll West is what, $750 now? $750, okay? For a non-resident, it's 1,500. It's still a good buy, absolutely. Still the best deal. But, so they pay more. What we're talking about now is, they even pay more for the greens fees every time they play. We're talking about leveling that.
Yeah,
changing
that needs to be leveled.
So as far as the salaries and the merit increases, you don't handle that?
Yeah, I had no involvement in that.
So how is that determined then?
I can't,
You mean for our employees?
Well, Jonathan's the director. I'm asking him how the salaries are determined
my
and how
understanding,
the
there were two,
increases
there
are
was, there were
determined.
there were two merit raises. One I'm familiar with both of them. One, I had input on.
Well, I'm asking you.
One's done, the other one's not.
Correct.
I'm asking you who decides that if you don't?
Ultimately, the business administrator,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Or the mayor. Mayor.
So you decided on these merit increases? Okay.
But aren't the recommendations made because of the work that the person has done or their classification, whatever?
Correct.
And then you have the last say?
Yes.
Okay. Thank
No,
you.
correction on that.
Yes?
You do.
We have the last say.
No. Okay.
But we didn't vote on this one.
No.
No, but once, after the mayor presents the budget to us and we review the budget, it becomes our budget. And when we pass it, we're passing our budget, not his.
Got it.
So the bottom line is, is us.
So, yeah, but increases were already given, so we don't.
Increases were recommended, yeah.
Well, no,
this
they
one
were
was
No,
given
this one was
already.
given.
Oh, they've been given already?
Yeah.
Well, that one.
One, just one.
If you recall, when we talked about the court, we tried to explain why sometimes you have to move forward. And this was not done under a bushel basket. You knew we were going to go, well, we were in the process of 3 courts were coming in. We talked to you last meeting. We said the reason why we did those adjustments, they were warranted. They were approved in the sense of for them to take on that obligation. If that needs to be changed going forward, we'll do that. But
No, I
yeah.
stand corrected. We're 6 months into the year, and you couldn't wait for us for now to start handing out.
The only thing that that I don't understand is I asked if anything was given, and you said no. And so I just wanted that's why I'm surprised to see that it's been done already, because we had asked, have any merit increases been given? And the answer was no. I said, okay. But now it says that it is done. So it's just a discrepancy in the information.
Were any others given this year that are already done?
Whatever's on there.
Was anybody else given an increase this year? So that's the only person?
And the court.
And the court?
And Board of Adjustment, Planning Board?
We combined a combination of someone taking on,
2 jobs.
2 jobs.
Well, I guess the truth of the matter is, since we're 6 months in, a lot of this stuff is already done.
No.
No, I'm talking about overall. You mean to tell me these departments haven't been working on these things? The police chief came here the other night and said that the consultants, he was already working with the consultants. So my point is that we've got 6 months left in this budget. I mean, we're functioning as a town for 6 months already, is
So
my
we're talking
point.
about bonus.
And I know, and we're talking about the increases as well. But I mean, that leaves us with 6 months we're looking at. It's almost a forecast and not a budget.
Yeah.
So that's my point.
That's gonna change. The mayor is making that commitment.
I understand that. I'm talking about right now, that's all.
As soon as we finish this, we're starting.
Well, we're gonna start this again?
No.
For 19,
Not us.
for 2019.
We'll have our meetings in January.
Yeah.
Council Vice President, no, we're starting this again because right after the July 4th holiday, I am going to be directing the department heads to start preparing their budgets so they can present it to me right after Labor Day. I fully intend that in the month of January of next year, you will be presented with my budget.
Good.
Okay, I will
Is there
not-
anything else like that, though, that we should know? Like, it was one person, but it's not one person, it's one person in the court, and the planning board, and the housing inspector. Is there anything else that's happening, payments of any kind, money that's going out of any kind, overtime being paid of any kind that we should know about that isn't as clear as I thought I was looking at?
No, so everything, we have everything.
I believe you do, and if I don't, I apologize if there's an error. Okay?
You should pass that book down.
All right, just to keep try to get back on schedule, because we're well beyond the next, into the next topic. Is there any other pertinent questions?
We
All right.
saved the best for
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Go.
This is the best part.
This is something that's actually more exciting than politics.
Oh, this is great stuff. In all honesty, I just about to go off a little bit. I've been working with Jonathan. We were both working very hard to make this work. I think it's a win-win for the township. It's going to be very exciting, and I think once they come and present, you're going to see such a professionalism that's very exciting to everyone. I'm looking forward to that, and you will as well.
Well, you know what?
Very exciting.
I'd like to thank Councilwoman Peterson for bringing this to our attention to begin with.
Yes, thank you for
I
that.
think it was up front her recommendation to change
Well,
the way
honestly,
this is
I agree
this is a
about,
business practice. So thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
If it's successful, we can't project that though right now.
And if it's not, I
But-
had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
We started this about 3 years ago, visiting and looking into something like this, but thanks to the mayor and the new council, we were able to move forward, because I'm telling you, this has been 3 years in the process. And I thank the mayor, Jonathan, and the council for making a difference for the town.
Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
here to discuss, I believe, let me look at my thing here. Insurance, debt, all the good stuff now. We've been talking about medical insurance, and mainly at nauseum at this point. And I'll just talk a little bit about where we are. We are self-insured, as you know, which means we are responsible and take care of our own medical bills. Meaning, we have a wellness coach. We try to keep our people healthy because we benefit from that. So, briefly, last year, just the medical, I'll talk about medical, we spent about $10,600,000 on medical claims. This is just claims, okay? And in the reserve, what we have to do now by law is have a reserve. Everything is paid out of that reserve, and it's very strict. So we had, at the end of the year, around $3 million in that reserve, which is healthy. We're supposed to have 25% of our medical costs in that reserve. And the other thing we do have in there is workman's comp, because that is as well self-insured. In this year's budget, I predict we're going to spend about $10 million again in claims. And remembering that the employees do participate and they do pay into their medical. Total, with the budget contribution, everything, we should be getting around $10 million. You're only seeing pieces of it. It's spread throughout the whole town. And I can provide a spreadsheet that shows everything together. I didn't prepare that for today. Most of the other costs, except for our self-insurance part, is a fixed fee that's bid at the beginning of the year. Actually, in November, we'll be getting bids on that. And I have to say again, thank you for our new group that came in, because they are just fantastic and making a huge difference for us and the library. But all of that is basically the same. Last year, again, we spent almost $4.4 million on just prescription. Our biggest problem now is the prescription, and thankfully we have a prescription plan with a fixed amount of money. But that's where the danger is. is in the prescription. So our self-insurance is only medical, not prescription. I just want to mention that. How do we divide up the insurance? Basically, it's done by the number of people, okay, that are employed. And that goes across the board and it's just spread out throughout the town. Hopefully we don't, I put most of that into the reserve where it sits and hopefully not spent. But that's pretty much how it works. And it's about on track as the same as last year, which is good news. Not much of an increase on that side. Amongst other things in the insurance or the liability insurance, which is done from the JIF, slight increase in that, not much. Again, that's somewhat self-insured. I'm part of it with the workman's comp. Okay, but that comes from the JIF. And the good thing about our joint insurance fund is that they're very proactive. We go and we participate. They give us the free education and things that we would have to pay for. So we come, we have a safety meeting every other month here. The whole insurance group comes, Concentra comes, and we go over all the workman's comp claims and everything that's going on in the town. And we also do discuss, we ask them what happened, how could we prevent this? All right, so that's one of the things we're very active in. I believe the mayors come and things like that.
Can I ask, when the recommendations are made, is there something in place to follow up to see if the recommendations have been put into place? And
Yes, there is. We do have that. And as well, not only there, but we do go to the safety committee meetings with the JIF where some of our things are discussed as well. And they do offer really interesting programs. Right now we're doing this huge wellness program where the people, we have like a lot of participation in it. And it's all just about walking. It's just getting up, you know, and they encourage that. As a matter of fact, Concentra came here and just talked about the aging workforce and how can we help our aging workforce. Yeah, not me, obviously, but, and most of us excluded, but you know, tell them to get up, you know, move, make sure their desks are on the right level, things like that. Not kicking them out the door, but more how to accommodate for them. So that's the kind of thing we're doing in the safety side, you know, and in the wellness side to keep our medical down, keep our workman's comp down. So for the most part, most of the things have not changed from last year, which is good news. I don't know if you have any questions per se.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know if you talked to that, but the workers' comp,
Yes.
well, it was 491, it's 600,000,
Yes.
right? The claims.
It's a guess, it's an estimate. I upped it a bit because of the increase of employees and also the aging workforce. It's going into a fund and it's not necessarily expended. I just wanted to up the fund a little bit, make sure we had enough money in the self-insurance side. It doesn't get expended unless, and you have to look at the insurance premium. I kind of reversed it a little bit, that the premium itself is lower, and
Why
I
is
put the
that, Ann?
difference.
Why is that, Ann?
Because I think last year I had the insurance premium wrong, to be honest. I didn't split it up as well, and this year it's done.
Who makes the request?
What do you mean?
It says budget request 8 million.
Well, what it means is that I came in with a certain amount of money. Would I like to see 3 more million in the reserve? Yeah, or 2 million. But do we need it? Not really. You know, I came in and said, look, can we put this in? And by the time we got to the mayor's budget, we really don't need it. And we did the analysis of the amount in reserve. Had plenty in reserve. Our auditors feel it's fine. So we therefore lowered it a little bit.
Is that done? The audit done?
Yes, sort of.
Is
I got the
it-
draft
is it
today.
late in the year
I got
for-
the draft today.
Is it late in the year for that to be?
No,
No.
no, end of June it's due to the state.
Hmm.
Yeah, but they come in, it takes time. You know, they were in 2 months ago, and they're still working on,
Mm.
yeah. We did it today. Yeah.
And can you comment on, I've talked to some of the town employees, and they seem extremely happy with the new insurance broker.
Yes, as we are. They are just terrific. They are active. We actually talked to them about one of our employees that used to be here, and everyone liked. They were looking for someone, and I said, I know this particular person is not happy where they are. So in a matter of a week, she was hired. I don't want to say the name. I guess I could.
No,
Jackie.
I knew who you were talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jackie was hired by them. And it's a win-win for us because she knows everyone. So she is exclusively for the town and works for us. And then we have 2 other people who are excellent. I mean, they're on it right away. And we're really, from my side, I'm pleased as I could be. And I know what they're going to do is bid a different way this year. They're coming in, they're going out to market totally different than the other people did.
The other representative from the insurance company grew up in Lake Parsippany, correct?
Lisa, yeah. Oh, I could say that. Yeah, I don't need a rice nose for that. Yes, the mayor's correct. And so she has a love for the town as well. And so we're really pleased with them. And thank you.
And
Good.
we're also hoping that when they do go out, instead of doing the year, because we wanted them to look at us, we wanted to look at them, we wished we went out for as longer than we could, but you know what? Next year, we can go out for longer.
Yeah, they're
stay
going
with them.
to,
They're
and they'll do
excellent.
what Emily asked for as well. I mean, they're going to compare, like to the state health benefits, for example. Our previous broker never even did it, and I thought they had, but they hadn't. And our new broker went out and compared for us and did a really good job. And that's the kind of thing we need. We need them to go out and examine all kinds of different things because there's lots of different options, you know. Yeah, so we're real pleased with that.
Good.
My understanding is
Yeah,
my
well, I'm
understanding
thanking.
that the benchmarking on the state insurance is
Very
legal-
important,
legally
extremely
required.
important, yep.
Not just recommended or a good idea, but required legally.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had assumed they had done that with Joe, with some of our people. I don't know why that wasn't done, or we couldn't get it from them. But the good news is the people who really know what they're doing did it. So I think we'll be really pleased this year coming up.
Good.
They're very creative. I'll just give you an example. What they're trying to do for the library is really interesting. They want to lower their copay by bringing in a special card that they can use, and it won't cost them more than what they have. They have enough in the budget to be able to do this, and it's very creative. I thought, you know.
What is?
I will get, well, if I may, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, what are we assisting the library with this year?
Well, yes, that's in the budget
Can
right
I
now
speak to
because.
the difference card solution that they provided, and I have gotten an honorary PhD in health insurance.
It's
For the
amazing what
library.
happens. Yeah,
The broker did an incredible job of creating a solution given the circumstances at hand.
correct.
What was not solved was the circumstances. And so that's sort of
I'm really
where we
not
are.
sure, but in the meantime, as we continue where we are, we're going to contribute about $138,000 for the medical, which is a lot less than the prior year because they changed their medical to be a higher deductible
And
from
your
the prior.
prescriptions, are they
The prescription is included in this.
included with
Yeah,
38?
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. You're welcome. Well, this is strictly for the medical, and then there was a 37,000.
Yeah, so it's about 160 some odd.
Yeah.
That's what I think we were told before.
And then the
Okay.
good news from the library was that they're fully funding their pension for the first time. And we've asked them to do that. They are doing that. And that's a big savings to the town. So that's my insurance. I can keep, we have an insurance group made up of the mayor, me, Ellen, and the broker that we actually meet with the broker ourselves almost every other month to go over the current claims and what's going on. They actually went to the IDA group and are solving problems that they didn't start. So we're really working hard at that. And I believe in a month I could give you maybe a report of 6 months in and where we are on the insurance. The reason why there is nothing in unemployment, we don't need it. The good news is that, again, good news, when we changed how the crossing guards are being paid, they're now paid full 12 months versus hourly. So they used to take, every time there was a school holiday, they would collect unemployment. Every time. There could be 2 days, there could be a week, there could be the whole summer. So we were constantly in unemployment funding them. So that's gone. And that reduced our unemployment insurance liability significantly. And our unemployment is self-insured as well. So that's why it's zero. I have a nice reserve at this point, and it's not needed this year.
When you said this year, how much you're going to contribute to the library?
There's more than
160.
that. It's about 168, I believe.
And last year?
200, almost 300,000.
And a year before that, it was over $800,000.
Yeah, that was the difference. But, we're
Where was
working.
that- Where is that, how is that, where is that, where do you see that in the budget?
You would see it in the library budget.
No,
There is
the 800,000.
Oh, that's
That
gone.
was years
We
ago.
took, what happened was, that came out of our reserve, the township's reserve. We had a very healthy insurance reserve. We had a good year that year. The library did not. So they don't we pay every week for the library's medical, no matter what. We're there, we're obligated. We manage it in here. We get the claims, we take care of it, and pay it every week, regardless of what happens. And that's our obligation as being the manager of their medical, okay?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I just want to make sure that I remember correctly, and forgive me for having a hard time keeping all the details straight. Is it true that once the library has left the town pool and they became self-insured, they cannot come back into the town?
No, that's not true, but I mean, they don't have the money to do it. I believe they didn't go out of the pool. They're still in with us now.
They're
But they're
treated
their
separately.
own itemized separate thing, unlike any of the other departments.
But
No
they're
other-
a separate business. They're a whole separate entity. We don't do their audit. I don't know what their budget, as you know. We barely know their budget. I don't know where they stand right now,
But there are other sort of quasi-public, private organizations within the town where we do pick up some of it and it's not an issue.
We don't pick up any medical from anybody else.
No, but like the audit, for instance. There are
Oh,
other
yeah, well,
organizations.
they won't let us do their audit. I would love to do their audit. I would love to do their audit.
Well, let me ask you something. How long ago, when we spoke with the insurance company, they said that you shouldn't, really, 22 people shouldn't be self-funded. So
Well,
how did we
I
make
agree with that. I don't
so why did we
disagree.
how does that decision made that we decided to make 22 people in a self-funded insurance?
I can't answer that question.
that's
I would love to. It's way before my time. And it was all well and good when everybody's healthy. The problem was they weren't contributing to make up a pot of money that would,
I guess my point
for a
is,
rainy
why
day.
aren't they included in with the town employees?
They are. However,
No,
our
as far as their claims and their premiums. And
their premiums are different than ours.
Because they're 22 people. in
No, they don't
self-insurance.
pay enough. Our people pay a lot more money. The township pays a lot more money. Their average, they have $300,000 for their medical for 28 people. They don't give us any of the money that the people pay in.
Right,
So
so-
it looks like 400,000 or 450, but it's only 300 and some odd thousand.
Right, so-
We contribute much more. Our people contribute much more. And if they wanted to pay the same amount that we pay, no problem. But so we're subsidizing 28 people basically for a very high level program. And if that's what you choose to do,
Are you interested in the reason this came about?
Yes.
no, definitely
No,
not.
it wasn't. But I was here.
Of course.
We used to have our benefits from the state of New Jersey. And when we were insured from the state of New Jersey, it was a fixed amount for every employee. In fact, the council we're employees, we get paid, so we had to be in that plan too, because that's what the state required. So everybody was in the plan, and everybody paid the same amount, okay, it was fixed cost, and that included the library. When Michael Luther decided to get out of that and become self-insured, okay, the people advising Michael Luther informed him that we then need a fund to cover the cost if we're gonna be self-insured, to pay our own claims. Nobody told the library at that time that they should do the same thing, build up a fund to cover their costs. Nobody told them that. They didn't know that. So they continued to pay the township whatever they were paying Blue Cross and Blue
Previously.
Shield for many years. And nobody picked up on it.
When did that happen?
Michael
Year-
Luther was the mayor when he dropped, when,
It was about 2008.
It's a long time.
2008.
yeah, he dropped out of Blue
12
Blue
years.
Cross and Blue Shield, so we couldn't be in the plan anymore. That was the big thing. Saved lots of
And then
money.
you went to self-funded plan.
The
Well,
self-funded plan. So now, what happened was, everybody was still fat, dumb, and happy. The library was happy, we were happy, but then they had a couple of catastrophic illnesses in the library. And that threw everything out of kilt. Their plan now became very, very expensive. They were paying us that same amount they paid Blue Cross and Blue Shield, but their costs were much, much higher.
So let me, just so I understand, when you say nobody told the library, were other departments told and other departments create funds?
I don't understand what other departments you mean.
The township,
There isn't anyone.
no, we have the township and we have the library.
That's it.
So, okay, so everybody's in the state together.
Right.
Michael Luther decides we're gonna leave the state, and the library has to be handled separately.
No, not at that time.
No, they were still in the big pool, but they still are separate. I mean,
I guess that's the part
there
that
weren't,
I do not
you know what,
understand.
honestly to God, when we got here, people were handling this medical and did
Right,
not.
that's why I wanna hear from Mr.
Yeah.
Piero, 'cause he
I mean,
was here.
I can't, I have no excuse for the people who were
okay.
here before me.
All right.
I'm not looking for an excuse, I'm just trying to understand the
I don't know how to
circumstances.
explain. I came in honestly and realized something's wrong here. All right, the person left.
I'll get to you. I'm not up to you yet.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
When we went to self-funded insurance, okay, the township knew that we need a reserve fund to cover those expenses, okay?
But the library was not
The
part of
library
that.
didn't know that. Nobody
weren't-
told the
they
They
library.
weren't part of the town's thinking. When the towns thought we need a reserve.
That's right.
They were not considering the
Somebody,
22 town employees
somebody
who
back
worked
in
at
the
library.
administration at that point, when Michael Luther was the mayor, didn't think of the library, that they should be trained and have a reserve fund too, okay? Nobody told them that.
Okay.
So they continued to pay us the same amount they've always paid when we were part of Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And that was fine. The difference was, I guess, minimal until they had two of their employees with catastrophic illnesses. You know, $1,000 a pill every day kind of a thing, you know?
When did that happen back then?
That happened, well, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but it was, but it was out of tilt. And
Yeah, about
when
2014,
Ellen and
Michael.
Ann, when they knew something was wrong, and they spent weekends over here trying to figure out what was the tilt, okay? They identified the problem. And that year was about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
They owed us $800,000 that year, or some number like that.
It was 800 and change.
It was 800 and change, but why we talked about it and why we identified it was, and Councilman Karifi will tell you, that we had to decide we had to raise taxes to cover that. We weren't going to make them pay it, obviously, and we were very short
couldn't
on our
pay.
reserve at
They
the time.
Are the library employees town employees?
No, but we fund their medical. We pave their medical. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, every week I get a funding, and it's a library funding and a municipal funding. Of course, we were paying it every week. And I said to one of the employees here, something's wrong, you know? And we had to understand self-insurance. It's very different than, I was always with the state health benefits myself. So it's a good thing for us because we're so big. However, the library never was told to increase their money that they were paying. Shame on the administration, okay? That really, and
So that happened from 2008 to 2014.
I'm thinking maybe, I guess it was around
So
14.
from 2008 to 2014.
Correct.
Under different administrations, they were not told.
Yeah,
And
well, they
nobody-
were, they,
And nobody noticed.
Well, nobody thought anything of it because they didn't have any.
Until someone got catastrophically sick, which is the purpose of insurance.
Exactly,
Correct,
but
the rainy
and
day.
it went, but the problem was, the people before. I just have to say that did not understand that they should have had a prescription plan. That $800,000 was prescriptions. All right, so they were self-insured prescription. They were told to be self-insured prescription because it's cheap. If you're paying $1,000 versus you know how much it is for our prescription, we have a fixed fee prescription. Thank God, because prescription is almost more than your medical at this point, okay? So their self-insurance was including the prescription, and they did that by design to keep it low. Well, guess what? When these people got very sick, you know how much prescriptions are. They're not discounted. It went crazy.
One
And-
individual, $500,000 of the
Yeah,
eight.
it was
That
sad. I
happened
mean,
in
you know,
2014, this individual.
around 14, and then we evaluated it. Paul will tell you that we tried to fix it. I mean, and we did fix it. We came back and we said, look, we need to help them. There's no way. So we'll wipe that out, but you got to work with us now. I mean, granted, everything happened, but you need to work with us, and let's talk about the medical.
So
You're
we're
only,
Yeah, so there would have been an $800,000 reserve, but as the council president turned to me and asked as the administrator, you said, how can we do this? And I said, look, we have to, and half of we said the $400,000, half of our,
If we didn't,
yeah.
if we didn't help them, the library would have had to cut
Not our ordinance,
major,
their ordinance, yeah.
major cuts, like major services from the library would have had to have been cut. So you would have been talking
Yeah.
maybe closing down libraries.
It's
or-
terrible.
Or
Well-
employees, so, we didn't want that to happen,
Right.
so we, gave them
Yeah.
a
Question, so the auditors for the libraries never caught this when they evaluated them back in
Well, I don't think they would. Well, how would they?
2006,
It's the
7,
town.
8, 9,
Well,
10,
here's-
11, 12,
That
13,
was
14?
before, that was
They
before I
wouldn't,
was on
and
Yeah,
the
but
this
they're
is-
not ordering the health.
they're not seeing it because they're paying $1,000, and they were never in the
Well, right.
negative because
That's what
they
I'm
only
saying.
pay
So the
$1,000.
present circumstances is we still have a beloved institution that provides wonderful things for the town that don't need to be itemized, that we talk about as this other entity that's a drag on the system. And God forbid it would be one of us who was that drag, who had that
Right.
bill that the town had to
Right.
help with. But more importantly, we sat in a meeting with our current health insurance broker, and they said, we should never do this. And yet what we're proposing is continuing
Well,
to
here's
do it.
here's the question. If you have a pot of money like we have in the municipal, I have a pot of money, okay, and I have a restriction of a certain amount of money. That's it. And something has to happen. Every year they're deficit spending, okay? They're going in the red. You could see it from their fund balance. I don't know what's going on this year because we still haven't gotten any audit from last year.
Well, and it was brought
I-
to my
and we
attention
talked
at the
about
last
this.
board meeting that they were not asked to submit a budget form for this book.
A budget, they don't normally give us their budget. I have their budget. Yeah, it's never been, this isn't ours, but that's, their budget's their own private budget,
Okay,
all right? We asked for them to give us their audit
okay.
at the end, and we did ask for their budget,
And
okay?
did you get it?
Yes, I did. From, I think one of you, as a matter of fact, maybe.
Not me.
Probably me.
But it wasn't, listen, I'm just saying you have, maybe we could, we talked about this, maybe we can go in and help them. It's not that we
But
don't want to
that's the
help them.
language that I want to eradicate. We are not helping them
But-
as though they are victims, other than of the previous prior administration.
But
who-
today, they're not spending what they have. Forget about medical. How do you go from $164,000 of fund balance to $100,000 in fund balance to $50,000 in fund balance, having nothing to do with medical because they didn't give us the money? And I'm not
I don't
denying that.
understand- I don't
Forget-
understand what you mean.
And-
What I'm saying is that their audit, they have fund balance like we do. If they're using it, that means they're deficit spending, right? They're in the red. Now, why? It has nothing to do with the town.
Well, let me ask you something. There's something I don't understand you said before. So you're saying you take 22 employees, and if you put them in with 400 employees, their premiums are going to be higher?
No, their their premiums are no different than they are now. Let's say they were with us. Their premiums are, let's say, $29,000 for medical for a family. They're giving us, I don't know, 18,000.
So what do we do about this going forward? We can't
Well,
sustain...
we were trying. Well,
but
we were
can't
trying.
sustain the library?
Well, yes, of course, but we were trying to get them in some kind of middle ground here where they get a decent medical plan, okay, within their budget.
See, that's the issue.
That is the
You're
issue.
saying a decent medical plan.
Absolutely.
And what was proposed to them was not a decent
Well,
medical plan.
This is what we're hoping that our new broker will do for us.
Well, we already looked at that, right?
I'm not an expert. I haven't been involved in the day-to-day, as much as Emily, the expert now, on medical. And we want them to have it. But we need to meet somewhere unless the town decides they want to give them another $400,000 or whatever.
Well, I mean, there's other solutions to it,
Yes, tell me.
Zoning. What's that?
What is the solution? I mean,
Tell me.
Well, zoning, you've got to make a decision.
No,
not
she
zoning,
said,
tell me.
tell me.
yeah, tell me, I said. Oh, not
said there was
zoning.
other
Tell me. I
solutions.
mean,
Well,
I'm,
sure. Then
we
you've got to
are.
cut the library's expenses.
But they-
Well, this is.
Or how do you do that? Increase their revenue or
Right.
decrease their expenses? Well, how do you do that?
That's their
Well,
that's
they're
their
their own
budget.
separate
I
thing.
don't know how to do that.
Well,
right.
right, they're a free
Right.
library, so how did they get more revenue?
I don't know.
That's
This
right.
is what we need Jane to, or the person from the
Well, I
library.
don't think Jane's going to solve it for you.
Well, we talked about this.
What they're gonna have to do, and they do not wanna do it, is some
I
of
don't
the,
think they
some
know
of the
how.
services that they provide now for free, they're gonna have to begin to charge.
I don't know if they can. I don't
They
think they
can't
can,
charge
right,
for
Em?
them.
Right, Emily? We looked at that, but maybe fundraising. But the town wants to help them. I believe I'll even say me.
So-
I'd be more than happy to help them in any way I
So other
can.
towns, this is the way they
Oh,
handle their
most
library.
CFOs run their budget. They do their payroll. They run their budget for the same reason. It runs right out
But
of the town.
they're the same circumstances, they're quasi.
Yep. Yep.
And yet, so why don't we?
A lot of towns do.
So why don't we?
I don't know. We haven't discussed that. We haven't gone that far yet, but
Right. It's fairly customary that the township or the municipality, right, provides, the central administrative services for the library.
right,
Accounting, purchasing, personnel.
correct.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm not an expert in this area, but are the library employees paying the statutory health fee by Chapter 71, or are they
I-
paying something less?
I don't know. I believe they're paying the Chapter 78 amount to the library. Do we see it? No.
Okay.
We don't see it at all. But she does do the Chapter 78, I believe.
All right, because, it's not a question of doing it. They're required by law to do it because they're public employees.
Right, right.
Okay.
They do it, but they
do
keep
it, but they keep it. And we're,
And-
and
They're not remitting any of that to us?
No.
or-
none.
Well, let's say
We should have a
this.
conversation offline
I
about
mean,
that.
may I suggest that we have, is
Yes.
it possible that we have a public meeting with the library to have this conversation with a
Absolutely.
representative and from the library?
I would rather have it, not necessarily public, maybe
Didn't
maybe
that should
just
be
a few of us to
should be
come
a
up with a
public-
solution
should be
would
a
be
private
really
thing.
exciting.
Well,
Unless
Jim,
you
you
want
can
to. I
speak
mean,
to the
it's-
legality of how many people from the present company can be there, and my,
only have two.
right, so my
You can't
concern.
Oh,
have-
then-
You can't have a quorum of either body.
Well, so whatever you feel we
And my
should do.
concern is that, and I have said this in the meeting that we held about the health insurance in the back
Mm-hmm.
room, I would like to move to a place on this topic where everybody hears the same thing at the same time from the same source. Because I
Right.
think one of the problems is that we have a meeting and then you have a meeting
I
and then
agree.
they have a meeting and then we're trying to figure out who said what at
It's
what
funny you
time.
say that.
It's enough. Like,
Before you came, I must have met with these, as you did, I think. I didn't get that far, but we all have met with the library, and they would bring one person at a time. And every time we met with them, it was a different person.
so let's do it in a forum
I
like
agree.
this.
I have no problem.
And
Look.
because here's why. We are very excited about breaking
Yes.
the potential of a new library.
Yes, so
a
let's do
brand
it,
new
you
building.
know.
And if we can't solve this, I don't understand how we can, in good conscience, move forward when
Right.
we see the library as this other drag that we need to help.
I don't want to call it a drag.
But
That's
that's
so
the
not
language.
right.
No, no,
I
I mean-
That's
definitely.
the language.
It isn't the language, it's not, I'm sorry, I don't want to say that. I think they're in trouble, I think they need some guidance, I don't want to say they're a drag on the town, it's
So
not
what do we
fair.
do? We don't give them any guidance, is that right?
I would
We
love to
tried.
give them.
When I was on the library as a liaison, and we had meetings, we tried to come to some solution with their insurance, and
With,
it
and
was-
in general, because Emily
What
was
would
there.
be, what would be a solution?
I believe we need to talk about not just just not insurance, but the entire budget process, the entire expenditures.
So we have like a fundamental distrust
That's what-
that they're able to.
Well, they're not. I mean, it's black and white that they're going down every year $100,000 in fund
But
balance.
they're a library.
No,
they're
they're
not
so.
a
I'm
commercial
giving.
entity that should be expected
They
to
need
grow.
no. I give them. We give them 100% of the money we collect, plus extra. Okay. You work within your pot of money. You can't go in the negative. If they go in the negative, they're in trouble.
Well, if they
Are
work
there-
within their pot of money, then I don't
We
think,
need to
I don't
dis-
think it's sustainable for them. I mean, you're not gonna hire employees, as I understand that they've already cut salaries on employees, tried to cut employees, now we're cutting
Right.
Sunday hours unbeknownst to them, but we're
No, they know that. We had already
Do they know
agreed.
that? No.
We're not subsidizing the Sunday hours as much as we did.
Right, I mean, this seems to be going in the wrong direction,
I-
so.
I don't
A town that
disagree.
doesn't, said this before, a town that doesn't have a good library, that's not good.
No, I totally agree
You
with
know,
you.
so
But what I'm
this
trying to
needs
say
to
is
be
if you
solved.
have a budget, if you and I have a budget of 2.8 or almost $3 million, and we sit around a table and we decide we want this program, that program, this program, but you know what? I'm going to need 150,000 from the town. I can come to you and say, let's do it, right? But I don't know what they're doing there. What are they
Yeah, but,
doing?
you know, it seems
You
that
know?
we're saying here, they're there, and we're not talking to them, and they're
Oh
doing.
no,
no,
I
they-
beg to differ.
But I mean,
they've had
but you're
meetings.
saying you don't know what
Right,
they're doing.
I mean, I don't see their budget. I don't see their audit. I called the auditor in January and said, "When are you going in?" He said, "They don't want us
But-
until
yeah, but that's-
August."
Yeah, all right. well, I
But
guess
they
we're not
need
gonna
to,
solve
well,
this today.
listen, let me say this from my point of view and the administration. We want to do the right thing for the library. I'm open to coming in and working with them on their budget, just like you are, to make a difference and to go forward and to have a new library and to be the best library we have.
Well-
But right now, they need to come to us and work with us.
Well, I think before we talk about a new library, you gotta talk about
I
what
totally
you're gonna do
agree.
going forward with them, because it's not
Yes.
sustainable to open up a new library, as Emily said.
Yeah.
And not be able to solve these problems.
We will solve this problem.
You know,
we
and
will.
If we can't solve these problems for them, you know, they're not, I
Well,
don't
we're
see how
gonna,
that goes
we're gonna
forward.
solve it. We will solve with them.
Well, but if we're gonna solve them now, what took so long?
Oh, I didn't, to be honest with you, I just saw their audit.
Yeah, I'm not blaming you, Ann.
No,
I mean,
no,
you
no,
know,
I'm just saying, they need to be more proactive, I think, too. We can't take the blame for not seeing their audit with a negative deficit spending until a year later or 6 months later. Where's their audit today?
And I guess just as it goes back to the health insurance, the idea that they could rejoin the town, but they can't afford it. That difference, that balance of if it's 100,000 or 100 million, we decide as a township how much money, how much balance
Sure.
are we willing to pick up.
And that's fine. And we can decide that, and that's your decision. And I'd be happy to provide that to you if you want to provide, right now it's at a lower level plan and it's 130,000. If you want to pay $350,000, that's up to you, and the taxpayers will pay it. I mean, it's really up to you, and I have no problem.
Well, I guess that's what Emily's talking about, make it public. Does the public
Sure.
want that kind of a library, or they don't?
Well, it's not that they don't want.
I'm not saying that they do. I'm saying,
Yeah.
I guess you're saying that's up to them. If they don't want to put the $350,000 into the library.
Every
then-
year, it's a decision we have to make as an entity
just
here,
wondering if
and
other
if that's
towns-
what you want to do, it's
And
fine.
What's 50,000? What's 300,000 divided by 50,000? $6.
Well, this is part of the problem with this budget right now. You're very, 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 very tight. Adding another, you're at 4%, you're at whatever percent. $100,000 is a lot of money on a small amount to be raised. So you're at $44,000 amount to be raised. 2% of that's only $800,000.
And why
You
is
know.
it, maybe you can explain why it's so tight this year? Was it like that last year?
I'll say this about last year now. It was the most irresponsible, horrible budget I've ever done. I rest my case there. Going zero, there was no such thing as zero. I fought, Ellen fought, we did not want it. I know the council didn't want it. I know Mr. Creepy didn't want it as well. Some people voted for it because they felt it was the right thing to do. Did I? No. And did Ellen? No. So here we are, suffering from that. I put it out there. This mayor has to suffer for the actions of the prior. Okay, and we're trying to do the best we can to make this happen. I'd be happy to talk about where we cut and what we did. I spent, and it wasn't even maybe the mayor who did it himself, I'll just say that, endless hours in that room, yelling, screaming, saying no. Okay, so I leave it at that. And here we are. Here we are. Okay, and I apologize as CFO, but we had no choice.
I appreciate the candor.
I have to.
Then let me echo it louder.
In the microphone.
I did, and I said there is no such thing as a zero, and I thank you, Council President, for voting no. And I'm sorry, I'm so emotional about this, because now the exponential effect of this is to the moon. We have cut things, revenue sources, one sources where you try to keep them there for that rainy day, they're gone. Thank God we do things, for example, with that PSE&G
We have a
money.
number of good
there-
things
There's monies that I did not want to expend because I wanted to follow the paper trail. We brought PSE&G in here, and we came up with, thank God, $222,000 that is in this budget, one-time revenue. We thought we would be able to support it for 19 and 20. It's gone. It's used as. When Ann and I started with this, and when we first had our meeting with the Finance Committee, we started at 19%. 19%, and it's compounded by that zero.
Does the
Yeah, I
public
would say
know
the F
this?
word.
Is the public, the general public, aware of what the impact of the 0% is in real, on the ground?
Dollars,
Not
I would.
dollars, but like a graph.
I'll do a
We
graph.
can-
I'd be happy to do a graph. When we
do a
introduce,
graph.
I'll tell you what, when we introduce the budget, I will show the trend.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely do a graph for
Right.
you. I'd be
And
happy
I want
to
to give
do
credit
that.
to Mrs. McCarthy because she was like, we need a graph.
I
Okay.
love graphs.
Yes,
I
right.
have
And that's
lots
why we
of-
did the pie chart to show you that
Because
we're only 22
well,
cents on
because
the
I
dollar.
think Ellen and Anna will agree, because, we sit up here and we try and talk about numbers, and you can't talk about numbers. That's right. I mean, you can never talk about numbers. So for anybody to get up here and try and explain that without seeing it graphically.
Right.
I
And-
agree.
But I will talk about numbers this way, because we
Okay,
talked.
now you're going to talk about numbers.
No, but in an easy way. I'm gonna do a Sesame Street numbers, okay? Think of me as Count Dracula. Anyway, the Count. I know you do. You know what? You're always there for
That
me.
was the wrong Muppet.
I know,
Ellen.
wrong Muppet. Well, he was the math guy. But here's the thing: we talked about the cost. The COA right now is 3.5%. That's where we are with this budget. It's at 3.5% with all the revenue sources that we could. Now, Ann talked a little earlier about saying, we're healthy. Yes, we are healthy. We wanted to be a little bit more healthy in our medical, but we cut over how much out of that medical? That
2 million.
Yeah,
2.3
2.3
You know the
million. Good,
number.
good, very good.
See, we
Good.
talk numbers.
We talk numbers.
I know, but $2.3 million. Now, would we be happier to say of the 2.3, wouldn't it be better? And wouldn't you all be happier to know that when 19 comes and 20 comes, that we were able to, of the two, maybe put another million in there to build up that reserve, to not have this kind of problem? Here's the thing. So, in deference to the community and us who have to make these hard and heavy decisions, and you are the purse strings, and you're the ones that we take the football and now we pass it on. In deference, if they had gone up 1.75%, which would have been under the 2%, which is anything going down. You heard every department head talk about gas prices going up. And I'm not talking about the tax consequences. I'm talking about tax consequences force also that number to go up, that even we pay, even though we don't pay taxes, that gasoline's going to go up. But again, This year, we would have only had to go up 1.75%. So even though, and I appreciate that you looked at the numbers and said, maybe we should go up higher than 3.5, but we tried to hold the line on 3.5, and the way we said we could justify it was if they had gone up 1.75, this council and mayor would have only had to go up 1.75. Unfortunately, if we don't do it at the very least, the 3.5, with all the other things we're trying to accomplish with regard to taking safety, maintenance, the fact that you have contractual agreements, zero-based budgeting starts at 94%. You get 6%, all of us get 6% to play with, to cut, to modify, to move around. So all I'm saying is that to get to where we are right now, and to take in some of your concerns, even as late as Friday at 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, yeah, as Friday, 3 o'clock, and here we are at 10 o'clock, but last Friday, to move some revenues around, to make the council folks individually have commitments that they make to themselves and to the public. We recognize that, and we did some things with regard to the utilization of the utility money. And again, it has to come from someplace, and it did. And we're hoping that that will balance out, but we're
Well,
still at 3.5.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I see, from what I see, if you took the sewer fund and they used $1 million, $1.5 million, 2, 2.5, 3.
Correct.
You know, that's unsustainable going forward. I mean, that shows that that's how much you're underfunding the town by using the sewer money. So so maybe it's an artificially high sewer fee to bring down the property taxes.
It really isn't an
But it has to be almost, if you can
Yeah.
take that
Well,
kind of money.
no.
No. Okay, you want to talk, I mean, we're bringing revenue from outside. We're bringing it from Mountain Lakes and Denville
Yeah, I
and.
know, but
yeah.
all of that money you've taken out of the sewer fund
part of
is no longer being used for the sewer fund.
No, but it's being regenerated. It's coming back. Ann, you want to?
Well, I'm just going to say this about the sewer. Years ago, they were at zero. They had no fund balance, so they upped, obviously, the rate. The town contributed to the sewer fund. This happens sometimes, similar to what we're going through with the Knoll, trying to make a difference here. And the water's been regenerating money as well. So we discovered when we did the calculation that if we give the money back in taxes versus lowering or giving it back as sewer, most of the people that benefit are corporate. Only 40% of the people, the regular tax residents, regular people who pay in sewer, only 40% get the benefit. 60% get the benefit in the tax. So that's the logic there. Does it work? Most municipalities use it. I'll say my prior.
And what percentage, though? This seems
A
to be
lot.
significant
Morristown's budget.
percentage.
Morristown's
Is there any-
budget. I'm on to say 30%.
Is there any rule of thumb for using surplus money?
Not really. I'll just say
I think there
this.
is. Jim, is there?
There's a statutory requirement that you can transfer up to 5%.
I mean, we're
into the
transferring
general
more than that, I think.
Municipal budget
5%
of surplus.
of surplus. I never heard that. I know that's with the authorities. If you have an authority, you can take 5% of their surplus, but I don't think that's with the utility. But I mean, I may be wrong. I don't believe that's true. Maybe we could look at it. Is that right? Okay. I'm not aware of that.
So, I mean.
I know
we've
with the
been-
authority, it's that way.
We've been, you know, and the point is when you're taking that money through sewer fees, they have to be higher because you're required to have a $5 million reserve, and you have like a
Yeah.
$9 million, you have like a $4 million surplus over the amount you're supposed to
Well,
reserve.
we're moving towards a different goal
In
with the
in
sewer.
this budget, it was actually reduced.
Yes, we did, and we're going to
200,000.
continue to do that.
Hopefully
We
can
all
bring
want to
that
work in
down.
that direction. But why, what I'd like to see us do in the finance side is to pay as you go a bit for the regular stuff, which we are doing now. And that reduces your fund balance, okay?
Well, Jonathan was talking about that the other day when he talked about the sewer fund. They're going to start to use those funds
Yes,
to
we are.
purchase and not.
The only thing we're really going to bond is something that's very long-term. It's a one-time project for $500,000 and the $4 million. That's it. The rest of it's all coming out of fund balance. So nobody can complain to me next year that fund balance went down because we're spending it. And that's the good news here. We have right now $22 million in debt for the sewer. Do we want to continue that? No. We don't want to sustain that per se. I'd like to see us pay as you go a bit. We have the money. Let's do it. You know, and on ongoing things like trucks and car, you know, why are we bonding that? This is the direction
Why
we're.
are we bonding?
That's a good question.
Oh, yeah, that was my question. You can't answer
I
me
know.
my question, Ann.
But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, with our group here, our new administration and you, we're trying to go pay as you go with the regular things. I mean, with stuff that's recurring. Another one we're doing is meters. I'm doing it in water too. I just saw that it's not done. But if we buy meters every year of $400,000, we need to put that in the capital as a pay as you go. It's recurring. But if we're redeveloping a well, that's a one-time thing. Yes, I could see where we would bond that. That's my opinion on funding. And hopefully that's where we're going because we're very healthy in the water. Very healthy.
Well,
In the
in
sewer,
this-
but I'm
in
trying to
this year,
say.
You're not just using sewer funds, you're also using.
Yeah,
the
but we
water
reduced
source.
that as well.
So how much did you reduce it by?
We reduced the sewer by 200,000 and the water by about 45,000.
And that's going to be going forward until we
Two
get
mil-
to.
Oh, that's
200,000 or 2 million?
200,000.
no.
245.
200,000. I mean, we got to work. Don't forget that money now has to be raised by taxes. Okay, or reduce spending, which is what we're doing.
Well, we tried to
So
do that.
we're trying to right the ship here to the goals of the administration by beginning to lower fund balance that's being used in your current fund.
Well, you gave
Right,
us the cuts
and
that
we're weaning it off in the right direction down. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as we talked about, Joe Beckmeyer and I working together on the $136,000 that will be going in right into surplus from Denville for something that was going on for years and they weren't paying for the gallonage. We did a one-time, you'll see it come before you in an agreement. And then going forward, we'll be bringing in all those. The other thing is, on May 30th, we did turn the switch, and all the gallonage is going to go be Skyview Pump Station. That means 73